Okay, so my name is Shane Frazier. So I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm a political science major at BYU. My ultimate goal is to probably work for the government in like State Department or CIA. I come from a family of all sisters, which is super fun. And I served my mission in Fresno, California, and I also served my mission in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And I'm grateful for my family and for the mission and all the things that I was able to learn and the spiritual knowledge I was able to gain from those things. Suicide has affected my life probably for like a while. I remember at a younger age noticing it, and it was when I first started to have like the suicidal thoughts was when I first noticed that I had same gender attraction. And you know, growing up in the church, there's always these expectations of you'll go on a mission and you'll come home and you'll get married and have a family. And you know, you go to church every Sunday and you hear about, you know, marriage, and especially here at BYU, you're taught about dating and marriage and those kinds of things. And I realized at that age that that wasn't something that probably would fit my life, kind of thing. And so I would say that was probably when those thoughts and those feelings started to affect me. You know, the depression of realizing that something that I loved, maybe something wasn't going to be, was in conflict. There was a conflict of interest, I guess you could say. It was a very like dark and very overwhelming time. And even if I would talk to parents and family and to friends and stuff about it, I still didn't feel like it was enough, because I felt like it was something like so personal and something so heavy that I didn't feel like talking to anyone else would really make a difference, and I didn't really see like a path like out of it. It was a very challenging time. Those thoughts are very real. They're not just something that that we do because I've been told that like do it for attention or those kinds of things. It actually is a very real and very like raw feeling, and I think just in those moments of darkness and despair, of where there's not a whole lot of hope, I think that's where kind of those suicidal thoughts hit me, of realizing, hey, like I have same gender attraction, and how is my life going to turn out? And it's kind of I don't know, just when I realized it, I kind of had to like just this whole like utopian idea of what my life was going to be like completely crumbled. And so I was like, okay, now I have to figure out, like, you know, kind of plan my life out differently than how I was going to be. And so that's kind of that's when that depression, those suicidal thoughts kind of came into my life. The gospel has definitely helped me through this whole experience. I guess I kind of expected like the atonement kind of to be like you pray for it and it helps right away kind of thing. And I've come to realize that that's not really how the atonement works. It requires a lot of our own efforts, and it requires a lot of patience. And that's something that I've learned like throughout this whole process, is just to be patient with myself and be patient with the Lord. You know, with those thoughts of like suicide and depression, like you feel like really alone. Even if you have like a lot of family support and stuff, you don't feel like you have anyone that you can really talk to. But the more that I would study the scriptures and think about like the Savior, I knew personally that he had suffered for me, that he had died for me, and that he was feeling like everything that I was feeling. That I wasn't really alone. Even though I couldn't see him, I wasn't alone. I think more than anything that the gospel has taught me to love myself, and that's something that has been a very hard process for me. It's taken a really long time, and I have noticed that since I've put in the effort to be okay with who I am and to love, you know, the good and bad things about myself, I've noticed that I'm a lot happier, and I noticed that my ability to love others has increased a lot. I've noticed that my ability to be patient with others, to forgive others, has increased because I'm able to forgive myself. And so I think more than anything, the gospel has taught me that, you know, when things get hard and when you pray and the atonement, when you access those things, it's not that life becomes easier. Life is hard, but I think the atonement gives us strength to be able to handle life. And I think that's how the gospel has helped me. It's given me the strength and the foresight to be able to continue and to be okay with myself because I'm a child of God, and to be able to, still be happy even if things are not ideal and if things are hard. You can still find happiness in those kinds of situations if you can kind of turn inward and find strength and also turn to the Lord. I don't know. I just know that it's like such a tough topic, and I just feel for the people that go through it because I know how hard it is. And I feel for family members that are trying to figure out like how to help their loved ones through it, because I know it's a hard position for them too. Depression affects a lot more than just the person that's feeling it. I just think that there has to be openness and conversation, even though it's hard, because I know that in instances where I've been really depressed, I shut everyone out. I don't want to talk about it with anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone about anything. That makes finding a solution difficult if there is no conversation and there is no openness and like what I was feeling. And it's still hard for me to talk a lot of the time when I'm feeling that way, but I have noticed that when I have talked about it, it's just a whole lot healthier for other people to know like what's going on. And it just helps people later on, just knowing what to be able to do if to break those stigmas. Because I've seen lots of like different videos and stuff about depression and stuff, and there's one in particular that really stood out to me. This one video showed about a girl that was a cancer patient, and there was these negative stigmas that are associated with depression being put on her, kind of thing. So she was in the kitchen and her mom was saying, well, other people have worse than you, and there was probably a boyfriend or a husband saying like, I can't handle this pity party of yours anymore. And a friend saying like, wow, you're like really bringing me down. You're being really negative. You're being a burden, kind of thing. And it kind of made the point like you would never say this to someone with cancer. Like you would never even think about saying that to someone with cancer. But why are those things said to people with depression? And I've had those things said to me, and they're not super fun. They suck, but I just think I don't blame them. I just think that the lack of conversation is the reason why that those kinds of things are said. And, I think I'm really grateful for like this project and for the openness and conversation that is beginning to take place, because I don't think that mental illness is really it's not scary and it's not uncomfortable. It's just something that people deal with, in the same way that someone would deal with a physical illness or with an addiction, like those kinds of things. It's important that it's talked about, and that I know those solutions will come as we talk about those things.